Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP TV. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Angus and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you try their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course, the king of all, those massive cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had. Probably be the best you ever had as well. Also, make sure you check out those Wagyu and Angus Prime burgers. Everything is Prime at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Give them a call. Find out what's for dinner. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100 for UppercutChops.com. Big round of applause for everybody tuning in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Time Warner, and WOW Cable affiliates, as well as Hotel TV in every major secondary and tertiary market. Every Nielsen market that is measured, I think it's about 210 of them. Guess what, folks? We're everywhere. You can't escape us. Anyway, we're joined by a very special guest today. In fact, let's let him introduce himself. Go ahead.
Jack McDowell here. Black Jack McDowell from back in the day.
Yes, sir. That would be Blackjack McDowell. That's good stuff, folks. And in case you've been living under a rock, this guy is really good in baseball, if you know what I mean. Really, really good. Pleasure having you on, Jack. All right, so Jack, I'm going to get into it right now. First of all, before we get into it, what's with the 70s and 90s? I know you're a musician. I know you're a phenomenal ball player, but also an entrepreneur. Tell me about this.
Oh, the 70s and 90s. I just made these T-shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. You know, I made this circle thing right here for hats, and it says OSBIB. Old school baseball is better. Just because a lot of us who played the games for our whole lives and have been coaching for our whole lives and are watching all these things that are changing are kind of going, I wish we could just do what we did back then because I think it's better, you know? And so I made this and a lot of people liked it. So I said, okay. And then some people reacted to me and they said, oh, old school baseball, that's just racist because there weren't black people back in old school baseball. That's why I put, no, that's not what I mean. Old school baseball from, the 1900s. I said just like the 70s through 90s. Is that okay?
Isn't it amazing?
That's why I did it. The 70s through the 90s, old school. That's what's old school to me.
Jack, isn't it amazing how people will build their agenda into anything that anyone says? It's so stupid.
Well, that was scary because I'm like, okay, well, no, it has nothing to do with racism. I'm just talking about the game of baseball and what I knew my whole life. And by playing and then coaching for so long, you just learn so much good stuff about it. So if things change and they're actually good and they're things that are smart, we would use them. And that's the reason why, most of us are just going, that is not the way to do things. That's not the smart way to do things. That's not helping the game. It's actually making the game a little worse and stuff like that. So that's why, we're getting a little frustrated with it.
Well, you're going to have to send me one of those shirts and one of those hats, too. That's the 70s, 90s old school baseball. What's it? I'm sorry. Old school baseball. So, say that again.
Is better.
Old school baseball is better. Absolutely. I would agree. All right, so let's talk about some of these ridiculous rule changes. I mean, let's face it. When we were kids, you and I are about the same age. When we were kids, we wanted extra innings. We wanted bonus baseball, right? Because we get more bang for the buck that way. At least I did anyway. But the reality is, now you've got all these stupid rules. And let's talk first about this ridiculous extra innings rule with a guy on second base. What's this all about?
Well, that was California travel ball rule that started a long time ago, actually. But travel ball, that's part of the deal because you'd play at a field and you'd have 5 or 6 games on that field during the day. So they had to make sure that a game wasn't going super long in extra innings. And so that's why they made that rule, because to make their money, they had to have all those teams play on the same fields in certain weekends. And so that was the reason for doing that. It had nothing to do with the game itself. It just had to do with the money-making thing of making sure all the teams were on there. So the reason it got moved to the major leagues, I have no idea.
To me, it's frustrating to even imagine the idea that, oh, by the way, we're going to start off with a guy on second base, and we're going to basically play a little league type of a game. I mean, hell, they didn't even do that in high school. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. And look, I didn't play at your level, but I played a little bit. I got to tell you, it's frustrating to watch this because like you're tinkering with the game in a way that, frankly, it just doesn't compute for me.
Yeah, that's true. It doesn't make any sense. Plus, they don't have a lot of bunting these days to move guys over. But if you got a guy on second base with no outs, why wouldn't you just bunt him over in the extra innings and make sure you score at least that run and stuff like that? But they don't do that very much anymore. That's not what they do. They're looking to see if they can't score a bunch of runs, starting with the guy on second and all that, which, I don't know. Is that really how the game is going to get won, or do you just win it by doing it, you know?
Well, Jack, think about this. You're in a 2-1 game, right? Maybe you're in the 6th inning or whatnot, and maybe you got a guy in first with nobody out. And let's say you're up by 1. You need to move that runner over, get yourself a little bit of insurance, right? And when managers don't manage a game where you're actually moving the merry-go-round, so to say, instead of waiting for the big inning or waiting for the big hit, sometimes you got to manufacture a run. How many 1-0 games and 2-1 games have you been involved in out of your 120-odd wins?
Well, and it's the same as manufacturing outs, which isn't just about pitching velocity. It's about knowing how to pitch. And sometimes, everyone's always asked me, so what was your best 0-2 pitch? And I said, a strike.
Yeah, exactly.
What the pitch was. It was like you had the guy in the biggest hole ever, so you wanted to throw a strike because that would force them to have to try to hit it, even if they didn't want to hit it, whatever it was. And that kind of stuff is not ever metriced. All the metric stuff they do is not the reality of how the game was a smart game. It was about mental adjustments, pitch-to-pitch adjustments, not just by the pitcher. It's not pitch-to-pitch adjustments just by a pitcher. It's by a hitter, by how his swing was against this guy he's throwing to, how he can read the pitches out of his hand maybe or, from his release. Then you change that. But it's for the defenders have to realize where the pitch is going and so what direction it might go in. The base runners have to know what's going on and maybe, if the pitch might bounce or might kick off the catcher and they can move forward on a base, they have to be ready to do that. They aren't like that anymore. They only go first to second base if the ball goes all the way to the backstop now. They aren't ready to go, just start bouncing off when they see the ball's going to bounce off, and kick it, and okay, if it gets in front of them, okay, I'll get back to the base. But if it doesn't and it kicks away, you go. Stuff like that is not metric, but that's, just a few of the things in baseball that have disappeared that are just kind of, not very smart. And it was fun that baseball was just really, you had to be smart about the game to be one of the better people.
Well, Jack, let's think about this for a minute. When we think about baseball from the 70s, 80s, 90s, what do we see a lot more of? Maybe we'll go back to 60s, 70s, 80s. We saw a lot more of pitchers busting the hitters inside. You see a lot of pitchers owning and dominating the inside part of the plate. But it seems like over the last 10 plus years, whatever, it almost seems as though a lot of pitchers are scared to come inside. What's that all about?
Well, mostly because they don't have the command to be able to do that. It's just about most of the guys are just overthrowing today. So they're not really, pitching is supposed to be pitching, where you go in, out, up, down. You have all these different things. And guess what? Hitters also. it's not just one swing that you work with. It's going towards the ball, whatever it is. You're not going to have the same swing or the same finish on a knee-high inside pitch or a chest-high up and away pitch. That's just about how you have to supposedly work on things, and pitching how you're supposed to do it to be able to force them to have to do different swings to do stuff good. But that's why there's so many strikeouts now, so many foul balls. Just crazy.
Yeah, Jack, listen, when we come back from break, we're going to go to break in just a moment here. I want to get into a little bit more about the swings that are being taken, the way that pitchers fall off the hill and they're not ready to field in their position. Look, I could do this one for a week. And there's a lot to discuss here, a lot to unpack, people say, whatever, all their cliches. But at the end of the day, we're going to get to the bottom of this with a guy that knows a little something about pitching. Oh, by the way, he's won a Cy Young Award as well. Folks, we're going to be back here in just a few minutes with a guy by the name of Jack McDowell. And by the way, we're going to entertain you with some music here with a song called Keep in Touch. And that's by Jack. Who is your band?
Well, this band I had to rename. It's not really a band, this new records that I just did. I just did it at home on my own computer and played all the stuff myself. Okay. And so I'm calling the band now Black Jackie.
I like that, Black Jackie. And this is from Black Jackie. And keep in touch. We're going to let this run all the way through the break, folks. When it finishes up, we'll be back. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come here with Black Jack McDowell on the Sports Circus. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP TV. This segment brought to you in part by some really cool music. We just heard from Black Jack McDowell, and here's Jack to tell you all about that music.
Wow, that's a new CD because I had nothing else going on in my life, man. And so I said, you know what, I'm just going to start writing some more songs because I had been doing music for pretty much since the middle of my baseball career. I started playing guitar when I was like 10 years old and learned how to do stuff. And then my sister worked in music places, and man, she really knew all of the good stuff that was out there. So we'd get all the records before anyone would get them. We'd get to listen to them and all that. It was really cool. So I got into liking music, and I really liked lyrics as much as anything.
Yeah, that's great stuff. And you know, it's kind of a groovy track. And you know what? We played that through the break. And of course, now that song is going to be played across America on radio. So you don't have to worry about, gee, let me see if I can get this to a radio station. Not a problem. We've already taken care of that for you. All right. And guess what? Whenever, if we happen to replay the episode, they're going to hear it again. And again, eventually, they're going to ask for it. And we have more music from Jack maybe in the next break as well. All right, so back to this pitching and this mechanical thing. I have a real problem with pitchers falling off the hill. This, to me, look, I'm a former left-handed pitcher myself, and I had really, really good tutelage, outstanding tutelage mechanically. And the reality is, Jack, you know as well as I do, I saw a video of you throwing a ball maybe a month or so ago. You still got it, buddy. You still got it. I think you can still play in today's game. But the reality is, these pitchers, they throw the ball and then they fall off. As a righty, of course, they're falling off to the left side. It's like, actually to the right side. What are you doing? The ball, you get hit by comebackers. There's a big hole right over second base now because you're not ready to field your position. What do you have to say to all those pitchers that are falling off the hill?
Well, there's that part of it. And the other part of it that they don't understand because no one's doing it anymore is think about that. When you had a pitcher that fell off to one side when he threw, guys would bunt to the other side because they knew all we have to do is just bunt the ball down. I got an easy base hit because this guy's falling off the side, you know? And the whole thing about that, too, is I learned, and this is actual truth, too, and I forget exactly where it was or when it was, but I worked with an Olympic trainer who did all different sports. And what he taught me was you realize that the most heaviest thing on your body is your head. I was like, oh, really? He said, yes. And that is what takes your body one way or the other. It's the way you turn your head and your neck. That is what controls what you do. And that's what can do uncontrolled stuff too when you yank your head or something like that. And that's one of the things that, I will show hitters that when they're hitting, okay, and you take a swing and I'll say, okay, what I want you to do is go like this. Hold the bat out there like you're just about to hit it. Now, turn your head to the side like this. And what happens? The barrel dips. So guess what? You're going to go like that, and you're going to foul tip it, or you're going to miss it under. And when they do that, they miss it under. And I'm like, okay, that's the thing. That's the reason. So the reason of watching the ball all the way to hit the bat is not just about the eyesight, even though that is smart to watch the ball all the way to get in. But when you're moving your head around, and you're not seeing the ball, how are you going to see that little tiny thing coming out of a guy's hand getting up to you? That is crazy. I know it's the same thing now about trying to pitch to a spot where it used to be catchers would call and then they put their glove up and that's where you wanted to dot their glove. But now they drop it down and move it all around. And go, wait a minute. How am I supposed to find where I exactly want to throw this ball?
Right.
And is that why there's 10 or 12 walks every game and every level now? Probably.
Yeah, they don't. What they'll try to do is imagine the idea of like you got a guy at second base. Oh, they're going to steal the signs or they're going to tip off where the pitch is going. So we'll set up here and then we'll bring it down here, right? So give me a still target to throw at. I can't do this one. I mean, I was wild in the strike zone my whole career, whatever, if you know what I mean. But the reality is I need a target. Give me a target. Don't hold
it. It is a lot better to do that. And there is another thing, too, that I don't like about it. And I've talked to other pitchers from my era about the same thing, and they agree that when you throw a pitch and it ends up someplace where you didn't throw it to, now you need to make an adjustment, usually just a mental adjustment, because you go, oh, I left that 6 inches inside and I wanted it, to be a strike, or I wanted it away and it, went across. So different things like that. What happens when they yank their glove like that, and they yank their glove and you don't know where the ball was? How can you make the adjustment on that kind of stuff? And they've gotten rid of that because you're not able to metric mental adjustments, because that's just mentality and smartness and adjustments that they can't put that on the computer and run it up. And so they've disappeared with all that.
You know what, Jack, I tell people when they ask me about certain things from a hitting standpoint, I just say, look, now in today's time versus the 70s or 90s, just like your shirt says, by the way, folks, you can pick those up. Jack, where can people get those?
Well, that and all the CDs that I have, which is like six, seven different CDs I have, they can contact me through my Yahoo stickjack111 at Yahoo. It's STICKJACK stickjack111 at yahoo.com. And it was Stickjack because my first band was called Stick Figure, because I was a skinny dude, and that's what they called me in high school, Stick Figure.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about the idea that from a hitter standpoint, what we see today, we see scores and scores of strikeouts for a plethora of reasons. But you know what we see? Think about this. Back 70s, 90s, whatever. You take a hitting coach like Walter Riniak, right? He was a master as a hitting coach. He really got it. He knew. He wasn't a great player, but he really knew how to teach. But the reality is hitting and keeping the bat in the strike zone, over the flat plane, and a flat bat going over. So the bat's in the strike zone a lot longer, rather than in today's time, you have this uppercut flat plane where the ball comes in, for example, and you got a bat that comes through, and you got to try to find an intersecting point. So your contact area in the hitting zone is so much less. I mean, certainly advantage pitcher with that. But now these guys are overthrowing. Everyone's trying to throw 105 miles an hour. How ridiculous. Take a guy like yourself, or even a guy like Greg Maddux, who didn't throw very hard. But, man, this guy had masterful control. I think if you have great control in today's time, not only do you not have to throw hard, but a lot of these guys are going to strike themselves out anyway because they're always trying to elevate the ball.
Well, yeah, if you're taking the bat through this way,
yeah,
you can only get it right here. But think about it. If it's this way, okay, you hit it off the end, you might flip it over. If you hit it in here, you might get a hard ground ball. Excuse me. You might have a chance to do it all if you hit it flat. And the thing is, a launch angle swing is not what creates the launch angle. It's hitting the baseball, boom, straight on's a line drive, a little bit down under it, gets the ball going up and gets to be a fly ball. So it's you can't create it every single time. That's what hitting is tough. Hitting's the hardest thing in sports. So why are we making it harder and harder?
Well, and that is the problem. They keep making it harder, and they wonder why the strikeouts are up. Everyone's trying to hit a home run. And in my opinion, as I've talked to some people that have the same opinion and maybe some varying opinions, to me, it just seems like the ball gets out of the yard just a little bit faster, a little bit further these days. What are your thoughts on that? Take a minute and talk about that.
That's the baseball change, absolutely. That's been, actually, they've talked about that. The year that they changed the baseballs, and I got them, I'm like, man, they were so big. They're way bigger because what they did is they they put the rubber thing inside bigger and harder so it actually travels farther. And when they put it for the first year in AAA, go look it up. This is not my opinion, it's the truth. Every AAA team that year broke their single season overall home run records.
It's embarrassing.
So just traveled farther.
It's embarrassing. It's like they're hitting a damn golf ball or a Super Bowl. I don't get it. Look, people want faster games. Now they have replay in our last minute of the segment here. They want faster games, but then we have replay. And then we have a ball that travels a heck of a lot further. And people have been very vocal about it, even Justin Verlander, right? Saying, look, this thing has been compromised. In my opinion, look, it's all about Rawlings being acquired by Major League Baseball. Hey, we need more home runs. Let's let Rob Manfred juice the ball up just a little bit. Oh, we have too many home runs. Let's scale it back a little. Oh, we had two less. Guess what? Now we're going to gas it up a little bit more to set more records. And this is the ridiculousness of the commissioner's office in Major League Baseball. I'm completely appalled by it as a fan. I mean, as a former player, Jack, you've got to be losing your mind. Take 10 seconds, talk about it. Then we're going to go to another song by Jack.
Well, I just don't understand why it all had to change. It's a super cool game. All the sports that I played growing up, I like this the best.
I do too. Okay, Jack, here we go. We got another song coming up here. And tell everybody what this one is. I believe it's Keep in Touch.
The Keep in Touch one was the first one.
Oh, is it? You know what? We'll play it again in case people missed, in case they just tuned in. How's that? Folks, don't go anywhere. Last one to come here on the Sports Circus with Jack McDowell.
But is it all that I need? But I love many things that aren't in touch. But that is what I need. Keep in touch with anything like a dog is rough. These great things have no greed. And I love anything that stays in touch. I'll be happier indeed. What stays in touch will never be too much. I've walked away too many times, and it's time to share my trust. If what I love really starts to be enough, then no more will I need. No more. To keep in touch, I think I gotta be so tough to never have to plead. Keep in touch. Keep in touch. What stays in touch will never be too much. Walked away too many times, and it's time to share my trust.
Back here in just a few minutes. Here we come.
This is Barry Katz from the Industry Standard Podcast, and you're listening to the Sports Circus with Sal Tuzzolino.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP TV. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the American Business Trust Company, helping companies with strategy, sales and marketing, capital resources, and establishing companies with new presence on the internet or in person in their own structure. You decide. You bring the idea. The American Business Trust Company can help with the rest. Get in touch with them at info@abtrustco.com. That's info@abtrustco.com. All right, a big welcome back to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast, including our friends over in Honolulu on CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That's home of the New York Yankees and the Alabama Crimson Tide, and a whole slew of others. Also, a big welcome into our friends over on NBC over in Southern California, and that's 102.5 FM, 106.5 FM, 102.3 FM, at 10:50 a.m. Folks, it's not scripted, and guess what? We don't edit it, and we don't fix it in the mix. So get over yourselves, because we make mistakes all the time, just like you do. Anyway, big welcome into everybody on KJPT, Jackpot Radio in Las Vegas, KVGK, and that sounds like Vegas Golden Knights, although we are in Vegas, but no, it's KVGK 97.9 FM. Thanks for joining us there also, as well as WDJY in Atlanta, WAUD, home of the Atlanta Braves, over in Auburn, Alabama, stretching all the way from Montgomery to Columbus, Georgia, and a whole bunch of others in between, and our independents, including Texas Tech Raider Radio and Cox Comcast Spectrum Frontier, Time Warner, Wow Cable TV, and Hotel TV in 500,000 rooms from coast to coast. Back here with Cy Young Award winner Jack McDowell, that's also one hell of a musician and an entrepreneur, and also a Little League coach too. But we're talking a little bit about pitching and mechanics and hitting and stuff like that. Jack, let's talk about one thing real quick on the pitching mechanics, outside of the fact that I think pitchers are, nowadays, they're overthrowing, and they're not being taught the right thing to do when it comes to delivering the ball. But what about the injuries from comebackers, from people falling off the hill?
Well, there's an injury from that, but think about the injury from pulling off, okay? Throwing, and then you pull off. You're pulling back on your arm while it's trying to go forward. So you're not, the muscles behind that are the strong ones that keep it from ripping off and tearing and getting into soreness and all that, they only help when you take your head. I say, when I teach any kids or any person at any level the pitching stuff, I say, you know what you need to do? Headbutt the catcher. Go right out, headbutt the catcher, and throw. And go ask Randy Johnson what changed his stuff, what changed his command and his domination. He always threw hard. I faced him, in college, and, we got to watch him through that, and we watch him all the way through pro ball and all that, and he got better and better and better. I think he had the discussion with Nolan Ryan about, hey, get out in front of that landing leg and reach out there and throw. And that's what really allows your body to be the strongest thing. Guess what? The oomph is just the throw. The oomph is not this. Because that is just going like this. Hold your arm back. That is not where the strength and the speed comes from. And think about it. Even if, let's measure this. Throw 100 miles an hour compared to 90 miles an hour. Miles an hour. How much difference is that out of your hand 60 feet to home plate? How much faster is that to the plate? Like this much? 90 to 100? Okay, so guess what? If you throw the ball here, what if you released it out here? It's getting to the hitter quicker. So don't you think that also would help? It's not just increasing a velocity, it's how the ball gets out of your hand to where it goes. And you get to finish a lot better out in front, which can get your spin rate going.
Right.
Get your movement. No one cares about movement anymore.
I don't understand that, but you make some really good points about headbutting the catcher. That's phenomenal. But also the release point, let's face it, whether you're throwing 105 or 95, at the end of the day, you still got to get the ball over the plate, and you got to be ready to field your position, right or wrong.
Yeah, very true. And the whole thing also is that I'll teach is wherever your landing front leg is, you want to take your head and your chest over it as you finish the throw. Okay, that is what controls the things that we're all talking about right here.
Right.
That's what's the smart thing about it. It's not, and the guys that pull off to the side, they ain't gonna happen. And if I was playing right now, they let me go play shortstop or something, I would just go, oh, this guy right-hander pulling off the left side, and I'm just gonna lazy bunt to down the third base line. He'll never be able to get there.
That's right. That's right. So put it in your pocket when you get the ball because the runner's already safe at first. The only thing that can happen is something bad, and the ball could be overthrown, and that'll guy end up on second, possibly third.
Well, Gola, I showed this to the Little League kids the other day. They were talking, hey, you played with Derek Jeter? I'm like, yeah, I did. I said, but look this one up, guys. Look at his very first play from shortstop on a double play. And it was a ground ball back to me where I threw to him. Like, if I was pulling off to the side, that never would have happened.
That's right. That's right.
So you look that up. If you look up Derek Jeter's very first play,
right?
Look it up online, and it'll be on there. I'm in there.
Jack, talk to me about bigger bases. And better yet, in combination with this ridiculous engagement of the rubber and two throws to first or whatever before you have to pick them off on the third one. What the hell is going on with a pitch clock, bigger bases, and now you've got this rule you can only throw it first so many times?
Well, when they said they were going to do the bigger bases, they said it was because of the injuries that were happening because of the small. I'm like, where? Which ones? Did anyone see any? I never really saw any. You know, the injuries I've seen are everyone trying to hit that inside corner of the base and rolling your ankle. So that's kind of a weird thing, too.
What I don't understand is, look, we've got this ridiculous pitch clock thing, but then we have this, well, you can only throw it first so many times, and then if you violate the pitch clock, guess what? Now it's a ball. I mean, the whole thing has been compromised. The pitcher, it's disadvantage pitcher for sure, because they're trying to up the ante on the offense. Well, people want to see the ball hit out of the park, so they juice the ball up, and now they got a pitch clock that works against the pitcher. This is ridiculous.
It's what it is. Who knows? You know, I don't know if I was pitching with that kind of stuff, what that would change, but it's all just, you got to be smart about it. You know, now you got to make your adjustments to that kind of stuff. So, you know, if you can only throw over twice, you have to be smart and know when to do it and, you know, which pitch to do it on and how you can kind of mess with their base runner's thoughts of when he's going to steal, similar to when you used to pick off or not pick off, but you can only do it a couple times now.
Right. Well, the one thing that drives me crazy with this is the idea that, look, we know after two throws, the runner's gone. You know, the guy's going. And so the base totals, think about the Ricky Hendersons of the world that stole bases for a living, right? And this guy's stealing bases because he was an expert, not because he was basically getting a head start. And I think that's kind of what's happening. So the stats are being, I don't know, tinkered with a little bit, just kind of like the game. And bigger bases, let's face it, you got 3 inches and 3 inches. So now you got 6 inches. Think about that bang, bang play at second base. Now the catcher throws it into second base. That half a foot, a lot of times, is the difference between a runner being out or being safe, right? So now you give them an extra 6 inches. And so now that's, again, advantage runner because you got 3 more inches from first, 3 more inches from second base. And so it takes the catcher's game and says, oh, by the way, you suck because you can't throw anybody out of second base. Well, guess what? You took away my bang, bang plays.
Well, think about this. You have a leadoff, and you're going to take a 6-inch bigger leadoff. No one would even know that. That's what it's all about. It doesn't have anything to do with that much of a difference, 6 inches. 6-inch bigger leadoff than what you already have is not going to get you out on a pickoff. You know, it's just, you got to be smart and know how to do all that stuff. One of the things that I teach because of the head issues that I learned and from videos and pictures that I have of Ricky Henderson and Tim Raines their first step. Because you see a lot of the first steps of guys stealing bases are kind of up and down real quick. You know, they don't take big steps. And so I showed them, look at this. Try to take your head to second base and then let your leg follow it. Boom, you go, and then you get a big first step and you start your full strides right away. And that is what they used to do to be able to steal so many bases.
All right, Jack, listen, we're coming up to a break and we have another song by you. And this one happens to be called Not For Sale. So we're going to go ahead and play this so give everybody 10 seconds on Not For Sale real quick.
Well, I just started playing this and saying, I'm a man, not for sale. The sound of it, but I didn't write all the lyrics. So I knew that would be the name of the song, but then I had to write lyrics around that, and that's where it came from.
All right, folks, this is Not For Sale by Blackjack. Here we go. But you can call them the Blackjackians. I love that. Don't go anywhere, folks. Lots more to come. And make sure you stay tuned so you can hear this song.
Down, not to fail. I'm a man, not for sale. When it comes down to my tail, got a plan to jump that rail. If it don't come all around, I'm gonna check the lost and found. If the stars are jumping by, I'm gonna check the stars in the sky. Some loving, no more lies and shoving. Repenting lies means nothing unless we're moving on. Unless we're moving on. We're moving on. Measure bones coming off the scale. I'm a man. When it comes to breaking down, gotta keep it coming around. If I'm gonna be a man on a mission, gonna stand my position. When I gotta make a decision, gonna land with precision. Give our lives some loving, no more lies and shoving. Replanting lives means nothing unless we're moving on. Unless we're moving on. We're moving on. Working on trying to wait. I'm a man, not for sale. If I'm gonna hit that nail, got a plan to whip me there. When I'm doing something I ain't gonna go, ain't gonna think. When I'm tired of nothing to do, gonna work real hard like I always do. Keeping it down, not to fail. I'm a man, not for sale. Rocking it on, trying well. I'm a man, not for sale. I'm not for sale.
Pretty groovy track, Jack.
Yeah, those are the two favorite ones of the people that have bought this new CD from me. I said, which ones are your favorite songs? Then those are the two that they said were.
And then you can get that at, what's your email address again?
Stickjack111, all lowercase, STICKJACK 111 at yahoo.com.
All right, big hello to Matt Zipman, who's watching over in Chicagoland. And here we go. We're coming right back from break right now.
Hey, this is Tommy John, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP TV. Folks, make sure to check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, our recorded shows, which are our podcasts. Also, make sure you check out the partners page. One of those partners that's been with us since the very beginning. That's way back in the time machine about 7+ years ago, and that's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's csncoyotes.com for the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. All right, welcome back to everybody on television and radio. Everybody streaming also on Facebook. Thanks for joining us. Anthony Sagan from the ownership of Two Phils. Jack, did you watch the Kentucky Derby, by the way? Did you get a chance to see that?
I didn't watch the thing, but I did see all the stuff afterwards when they, talked about all the things that happened to the things. And you were talking about the Coyotes earlier. Coyotes are tough.
Yes.
We had the Coyote when I lived in San Diego before we moved here to Charlotte, North Carolina. We had 2 doggies and a kitty, and the Coyotes got the kitty and one of the doggies.
Oh, no. Yeah, well, you know what? That's what happens in the desert. But a big hello to our friend that it's the ownership and the trainers of Two Phils from the Kentucky Derby. Oh, they just lost by a neck. They had it at the 8th pole. They get to the 16th pole, and then out of nowhere comes Mage. Who knew? Nobody knew. But those are guys from the neighborhood, from back home in Chicago, so we always want to give a nice round of applause. Anthony and the gang, thanks for joining us today. All right. And
like we just talked about, the horses, they keep that head out and they pull their legs from their head being on front. That's how come they're so fast.
That's right, because their mechanics are good. So we talked about pitching mechanics in the last segment, and we talked a little bit about the bases and the rule changes, the time clocks, the baseballs travel a little bit further in today's time, if, of course, you know what I mean. Nice round of boos for that. I'm not really a big fan of that one. But also, Jack, it seems like some of the gamesmanship has been taken out of the game, right? So with this pitch clock, think about guys back in the 70s. Take a guy like the Mad Hungarian, Al Roboski. Could you see him with a pitch clock?
Yeah, well, it's the same thing. Rules are changes. You got to be able to change. So it'd be interesting to see who would be able to make those adjustments back in our time to be able to still be solid and good. But they don't even let anybody pitch 7 to 9 innings every game now if you pitch good. So there's a difference in all that, and it's not just the pitchers are not as good now as they were back in the day. They only pitch 5 innings. No, it's just they aren't allowed to do their thing anymore. The other team is the team that shows you when it's time to take that pitcher out.
Right. What about the idea that when a pitcher is tired, generally, historically, from what I see, and tell me if you've seen the same thing, because a lot of other people see it too, pitcher tends to miss up when they're tired. True or false?
Well, you can, because you're not finishing good, because that kind of stuff that can definitely help. And basically what you'll see is they don't have their command that they normally have. And a lot of times when you start a game, it takes you some time to get into your command zone. And if you look back at what they used to say about going to get pitchers, is get them early before they get going, And now they say, well, we're not going to let them face batters the third time because the batting average the third time around. Well, that's not true. The batting average the third time around to a good pitcher is going to be fine. It just depends on what's going on in that game and how you're throwing, how you're pitching, and how they're hitting against you as to what is supposed to happen.
Jack, think about your Cy Young year. Look, you're from a statistical standpoint, I get it. From an on-the-hill command standpoint, 100% deserved. Go year by year and you think about, rhetorically, what's happening in today's game now with some teams are actually opening games with closers, which to me it's just the most ass-backwards thing for me that I've ever seen. I mean, if you have confidence in your starting rotation and your starter, don't you think they're going to get you maybe 6, 7, 8, 9 innings? Why in the world would you start out with a closer versus your starting pitcher? who only really has maybe 2 pitches anyway.
Well, why would you ever just say we're going to pitch 6, 7 different guys every single game? That means you have to have 7 guys that are on top of their game every day. Well, that's not the way it works all the time. Pitching used to just be that you'd have your starter go in, and when he started doing not so good, okay, you come in with your middle reliever to get him out. Or if he was doing good, you just let him keep going until the other team maybe started getting on him. And that's what complete games were. Hey, if you just ended up winning a game, that means you got to save the bullpen for tomorrow.
Jack, do you have a song that you've written, or you can play one with that guitar right next to you about complete games? Pick that guitar up and let's hear you play a little bit, just because you can, only if you want to.
I don't have any songs about the baseball. The only song I have about baseball that I've written so far is a song when I managed, or in the Appalachian League, when they changed to the College League, I managed the Sock Puppets in Burlington. And I wrote a song to be the Take a Field song for the Sock Puppets. It's called Sock It To 'Em.
I love that.
And that's on that new record.
He said the Sock Puppets. I mean, that's one of the greatest names ever. That name and the Joliet Jackhammers, just great names in minor league baseball. So let's hear you play that guitar a little bit if you want.
Oh, you want me to do an acoustic version of one of the songs on the record?
Sure, whatever you want, buddy.
Okay. This is my old cool guitar.
I like that.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. I'm going to do a song that's on that record, and this is called No Pretend. Are you gonna let it bounce away? Are you gonna let it stay? Do you wanna waste a single day? Are we gonna have some play? Like Mr. Jackson said, speaking to the man in the mirror, inside my head, thoughts couldn't be any clearer. I ain't the very best friend, but I'm never gonna be nearer. Say no pretend. My pretty darling, I'm gonna make the play, and it ain't gonna bounce away. I hope you wanna let me be like me. Just take a look at what I see. Like Mr. Jackson said, speaking to the man in the mirror, but inside my head, the thoughts couldn't be any clearer. That's no pretend. Do you wanna make a change today? Well, we gonna have some play. So are we gonna do just what we may and live our lives the way we say? Say no pretend. Say no pretend. Say no pretend. Well, there's my first acoustic version of that song.
And and the crowd goes wild. That's great stuff. Where can everybody pick up your CDs from you again?
Well, contact me through my email because I got them all here. They're all in here, all my CDs from all over the place. Got them all in my office here. So contact me at stickjack, STICKJACK111 at yahoo.com.
That's stickjack111 at yahoo.com. You got me motivated, Jack. I got my guitar out here. I was going to play something. But no, we don't want to plug in and we don't want to scare everybody away, if you know what I mean. I can't help that. So, Jack, you've got, of course, we want to bring you back because you're a lot of fun with this and a wealth of knowledge. I want you to talk a little bit more about the coaching and whatnot when you come back, because I want you to come back. You want to come back?
Sure, yeah. I love talking about how I coach because I think I know what I'm doing.
Right. Well, most people think they know what they're doing, but they really don't. But you happen to have proven it, and you know what you're doing. So from a tremendous baseball career, and folks, if you don't know who Jack McDowell is, you better get yourself out from underneath that rock because the guy did it. He was remarkably good, won a Cy Young, a 3-time All-Star, and on we go. But this guy knows how to throw a baseball. Hell, he could probably still play in today's game without overthrowing and tearing labrums and rotor cuffs and everything else, Tommy John, this, that, and the other. I think Jack knows a little bit about mechanics, so you may want to pay attention. Jack, I'll tell you what, if you are doing one-on-one coaching or whatnot, how can people also get a hold of you for coaching? Because you obviously do that.
Well, contact me through that email. If you're in Charlotte, you can come over to the house. We have a cage in my backyard, and I have a mound that I have the kids and pitch off of and teach them how to do stuff. I usually catch them too. I don't yank the pitches out. I just catch it and show them this is where the pitch went. Boom.
That's great stuff. All right, Jack, listen, thanks for joining us today right here on your favorite station here with Jack McDowell. And guess what? Jack will be back again. Make sure, in case you missed any part of this program, that you go back and listen to the recorded show on any one of where you get your favorite podcast and whatnot. And we will see you next time in about 23 hours. So until then, so long, everyone.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average and best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.